And just, we can't even get off coal kind of just, and I year by year, I mean, it was delayed because of COVID. So like the issues of humanity are so complex, and like it's not going to get solved with a 2 week meeting. I'm like, potential, maybe we'll do this guidelines.
Well, it's like the Japanese used to have this habit of calling a meeting to decide when to have a meeting. Well,
Yeah,
you're here. Can't we just have it now?
yeah.
It's kind of how I see, all this COP26 stuff. It's, yeah, we have to do something. We'll discuss it next time. Ah,
Seriously, it's just, and I know like the activists are all frustrated. I don't even know what I could say anymore because it's just like the tipping points. The issue is like, okay, we know our fate, and it goes beyond 2100. We've talked about it goes further than that, and like you said, 50 to 70,000 years of high ppm.
just to try and get things back to normal. And don't forget, you have the hysteresis aspect, which is that even if we got, you know, the carbon levels down to 250, you know, you're not going to freeze up all the water that's melted.
No.
Some of it will stay liquid. And that difference is hysteresis. That difference adds to sea level rise. And you toss in thermal expansion and continuing melting, yada, yada, yada. And, someone, I think one of the posters at COP26 showed some skyline of some city. I didn't recognize it. And he basically said 1.5 C. And you can kind of see some water, out there. Then it was 2C. It's like, oh, there's water in the streets. And 3C, oh, there's a lot of water in the streets.
Oh my God, I know it's
He's like
just,
projecting what the sea level rises are going to be. And obviously, coastal cities are going to be really affected first and foremost.
which is where predominantly most people in humanity lives. What
Right?
could go wrong, Jim? What could go wrong? I don't know. I mean,
Hmm.
you talk about like the crop issue, right? Like the fact that like such dramatic changes in weather, right? Like, it was 60 here and now it's like basically almost 90 degrees 3 days later. I mean, that's the perturbed system with agriculture is not gonna fare well either.
No, and it's being well documented now, quantified that not just simply, it's being quantified that crop yields are reducing drastically, and the nutritional value of what is harvested is greatly reduced as well. So that's just as a double whammy. And don't forget, as coastal, as sea levels rise, it's not just the coastal areas get inundated. If you got a big river drainage system like, oh hell, well, the Mississippi, you're gonna have you're gonna flood you're gonna create a inland seaway there, just like it was during the Jurassic when New Mexico was beachfront property. you know,
I know,
you
I know,
know,
I know, Jim.
I mean, so you're going to have one, and of course, with that, you're going to have brine infiltrating the groundwater. This is why you've seen a scramble to develop brine-resistant crops, because the
Oh, interesting.
brine, because of osmotic differences, will kill the crops.
So we're in a world of hurt, like, and
Big
then
time.
the prices is just the beginning. I mean, this is where I'm like, oh shit, because it could just like you said, it could happen within a couple of years, and we're just like, well, we'll act in 2040. I mean, what is the world in 2040? It's not gonna be. There's like, I feel like people have said in the like opinion pieces, like these are the good times, like live it up now because a couple of years later, you know even though it's bad now, like it's gonna keep getting worse. So like think of this as like the good times because it keeps getting worse. So that it's like, oh,
I just did a video where talking about how when you change, what the currents are doing, you're going to change what the atmospheric uh, airflows are going to do. The convective cell, be it the Hadley or whatever, all the different uh, atmospheric cells. And there's data now that shows that when that happened, Some areas, the drought gets intensified. In other areas, you just get peed on all the time. It's just torrential downpour. What are we seeing now? We're seeing that the East Coast, right, being rain and rain and rain and rain. And then on the West Coast, you've got your reservoirs tanking. It's like no
Seriously.
water left in them. They're down to like maybe what, 30% of capacity
They have like record lows.
with an ever-growing population, no less.
Exactly. And that's always perplexing how
You know,
that's gonna.
it's so you see so we're seeing, so you heard me say this before, you want to get an idea what's going to happen in the future, just look what happened in the past. And we've seen this in the past, that when you change a certain situation, these things will happen. And those things that happen that they documented using proxy data in the past is now taking place today.
And it keeps getting worse. The projections. I know the COP26. They're talking about. I know we talk about like 7 to 9 Celsius. They're still on like two. Oh, it's going to be 2.7. So they're taking the minimum and making like they're not even calculating. Like even if they were to do something, right? Like oh, let's help the environment. Let's do. The data is like underestimated. So even if they are doing something, it's never going to be enough. So that's the point of our reality right now. And
And as we discussed before, it's because they keep moving the goalposts. Oh,
yeah, the
compared to
goalposts.
1750. Oh, make it 1850. That's when things really got going. Well, maybe it's better if we went 1910. So they keep moving the goalposts and keep saying, well, it's only increased 1.2 degrees compared to 1910,
I don't know. I know.
1.4 compared to 1850, 1.6, 1.7 compared to 1750. So if you look at 1750, we've already blown past 1.5. That's why they keep moving the goalposts, because they want to give, oh, there's some hope we can still do something about this. I saw a cartoon. It showed, two movies being shown. One was Inconvenient Truth. Okay. Yeah. It was a cartoon, right? And the
Yes.
other one was Reassured Life, which is a made up title. And the line, there was no one waiting to go see Inconvenient Truth. The line snaking around the building was to see Reassured Life, because people don't want to face the truth. They'd rather be told everything is fine, everything's going to be okay, you don't need to worry. That's what people want to hear.
And it's true. It's they don't want to think about you know the apocalypse or something. I don't know the correct term, but like yeah, they'd rather distract themselves in the moment.
Ecological catastrophe, I think, would be a good term.
Okay.